Hello everyone, welcome everyone back to part 10 of the web development in Python with Django. In this part, we will continue to improve our code by getting familiar with our decorators. And also, we'll implement some changes to allow users to log in not only with a username, but also with an email. Before moving further, please like this channel, share my videos. I hope this will help me in the future to grow. Thank you, let's move on. So first I begin with decorators. Python's decorators are an advanced feature that all Python programmers should be familiar with. When you learn how to create them, you may regret that you haven't used them before. Usually, you use a decorator when you need to change a function's behavior without modifying it. For example, when you want to add logging, do a test, verify permission, perform caching, or etc. I'm writing a decorator in this tutorial because we'll run the same function on multiple functions. This avoids you writing a duplicating code inside. If you're following my previous tutorial, we already were using decorators to check whether a user is logged in before logging out. It is here. Right now, we want to check whether the user is logged into the user before trying to access other functions. Actually, we're gonna replace these simple two lines with a decorator. To create a Python decorator function, we create an external function that takes the function as an argument. There's a lot of examples on Google that you might find, but right now I'll simply write a simple decorator that if it will be not enough knowledge for you, you'll be able to continue Googling and build your own. So let's head to our user application and create decorators. Somewhere here, I create a new file, decorators.py. Inside, I'll write a lot of, well, not a lot, some code. So first, I'll need a redirect function. So from Django shortcuts, I'll import the redirect. We already use this in our views, but we'll move it to here. I'll create a basic function that I'll call define, and we here will check if user is not authenticating. And as arguments, it will take functions that will equal none by default and redirect our URL. That by default will be a home page. You might change this if you want, and it will return a decorator. A decorator, that's a function, and now we need to create this function. So here will be our documentation that I'm not adding here, but I'll do later, and we create this decorator. And this decorator will also accept only a function. So we call it view function. And at the end, it will return something. Inside this decorator, I'll create another function that I will call rapid view, and this rapid view will accept only our requests, args, and keywords. And the main purpose is here that we need to check if the user is authenticated. And if it is, we need to redirect it back somewhere back. So I chose to redirect it to home page. So if request.user is authenticated, we call a return redirect, and here I simply place a redirect URL that we define it here. After this, if this doesn't work, we need to return something. So in this case, we return a function that we are trying to access with our decorator. So we call a view function, and here is simply same arguments as here. And here we return this function. And most important, we are missing additional function that this should work. This is a must for a decorator, and it's if if function is not none, we return a decorator with an argument of function. This one. Functions. Okay, I'll leave it as function, single one. Yeah, I made a mistake here, so this is a function, not function. Function. Okay. So in this case, when we access this decorator, we will return a decorator with the modified function that might be our, for example, login function or a redirection to a home page. The same is here. So this is fine, and I believe we can save this. You might not understand what does this mean, so here we check if a user is authenticated. If it is, we return a redirect function, otherwise we redirect the original function the user is trying to access. Not to make it complicated, let's leave it as it is. It will do the hard work we want. For more detailed information about decorators, you may navigate to Django official documentation about decorators, or when I was implementing this, before that, some time ago, I checked this kind of out-of-the-box decorator that it's built inside the Django. So you might see that I followed slightly with the same structure of whole function, but actually I made my own. That it is a simpler and way easier to understand for beginner developers. So let's go back here. Right now we created this decorator and we might import this. So we go to the top, and here I write from .decorators, I import my single one function. I'll move this down also here. And now we simply need to change these lines with our decorator. I place it here. And I do the same with custom login. And you might see that this makes our code way more simpler and easier to read, and we achieve less lines in our code. It's way more tighter and easy to read. Well, this is one of the simplest decorators that we can begin with while creating a Django project. We can make them way more complex, which would help us to keep our code simple to read and understandable. So, okay, let's try this now. Python manage p run server. And yeah, that's cool. It didn't give me any errors, and I can go to refresh my page. Homepage. That's cool. Okay, and if I go to login, write test.test, and everything just works the same. And if I try to access the login from when my status is logged in, I'm not able to do so. I was redirected back to homepage. This is the purpose of this decorator we were creating. So that's cool. We created this simple decorator. Let's move on to the second part of this tutorial, where we'll create a login with an email. Despite Django's simplicity and delightful development experience, one of the things that I personally and many other developments don't like about Django is its default authentication system. Most websites use only an email authentication system or both. I don't know why they are doing this, but logging in with a username doesn't meet the web industry standards for me. We can fix this quickly by implementing some workaround hacks, and let's take a look at the steps on how to enable your users to log in with their emails in your Django app. Right now we are using the default built-in Django authentication form, so we need to create a custom one and make sure that our view asks for the right data for input. So we head to our users and forms. We had user and forms, and here I create a new user login form object. And here what I need to do is, first I need to import from forms authentication form. This is the form that we use out of the box with a Django. It's used by default. So we need to inherit from this one. So this will have all the same functions inside, but we will override a few of them. So here we define an init. And here will be a self. And the same as before, here will be args and keywords. What it will do, it will call a supper to user login form and self, and then it will initialize it with args and keywords. So first thing we write is username, because we only want to change what user sees. We need to inform user that it can log in either with username or email. And right now nothing tells us that. And the simplest way is to inform user in a form. So if I log out and go to login, as you can see, we have only username and password. So right now let's change this. So right now username will be to forms.char field, and it will be equal to widget from lower begins, and widget will be equal to forms.text input. Text in. Okay, why multiply this? I'm not sure. Text input will be here. We open this again. Why there's two? What the hell just happened? I'm not sure. Okay, let's continue with that. And here will be an attributes. As you can see, an attributes here is so in this dictionary we create a class that will be equal to form control, and another one that we have is a placeholder. We wrap this with a like that, and this will be equal to username or email. And here we close this. We need to close this, and also as input it needs to get a label. So here label is username or email. It's a must. So we leave here a star. So I believe that's it. Okay, I'll move this back. Here, right now we finish this with a username. When we do very similar with a password. So here will be a password. And here will be a password input, and the placeholder will be a password. And of course, label is not necessary here. By default, it will be a password. Cool, we close the brackets here, and it should be fine now. I've saved it, refreshed, and let's go back here. As you can see, it was like that. Now I hit refresh, nothing happens. It should change. Give me a second. Oh, right, sorry, I forgot. We are not using this yet. I need to change this, our default view to use this. So I grab this one, I go to our views, and here from forms I import this one, user login form, and I change whether we use our authentication form. I remove this, we don't need this anymore, and I use our user login, so it's here and here. Okay, I save this. It's refresh. Let's go back, hit refresh, and hello, we have some kind of mistake. Okay, let's go back and see what's missing authentication form. Oh, that's a huge mistake here. I need to use it as object, not a defined function. So hit refresh. Oh, let's go back and hit that. Cool, as you can see right now, username or email asks for both. So it's our choice what we want to use. So if we would test with a test, it would not accept our email yet. We're not finished yet. So the next step is to create a new custom authentication backend for our application. This allows us to override the default logic of our authentication system, since we are trying to enable our users to log in with their username or email. So we head back to our code and we create another script here, and I'll call it backends.py, we begin from importing a default backend for our authentication. So here from Django contribution, and here from auth, and from backends, I import a model backend. And if we go to this function, you can see that what we're gonna try to rewrite, we are focusing on this one. So I copy this code to make it faster. I go back here, I copy it. Right now I'll remove command for now, and I create a email backend here instead of model. Email backend, because our goal is, and this will use a model backend as a base one. Now we have our authenticate script, and we'll leave this, but instead of this, we'll try to use a try, and here we'll try to get a user. But first, we need to have a user model that we don't have yet. So here we need to get it, and because we use a custom user model, we need to receive it, and we call a user model, and this needs to be imported from the same place. And here I simply copy it and import get user model. And also I'll need something as a queue from Django models. I import a queue. I'm not explaining why I use it, but that's related with a databases. You might read this on an internet. So here I am trying to get a user similar way as it is here, but instead I'll write to user model objects and get. I query this, and here I use this queue, and I'm searching for a username where username is exactly, there's a specific function for that, and it will be equal to username. And also I need to compare it's a username or email, so I replace this and I name this as email. This means that we are querying our database and searching for username or email with a given usernames. And if we find it, we check if this one works. So I remove this else, and if everything's fine and we find a user and so on, we check the passwords, and if password works, we return a user because it is authenticated. But also we need to try to write something if there is no such user with a username or given email. So we call an exception, as the example does. Except, and for example, what we do if a user doesn't exist? We call exactly the same command, and we call exactly the same function, and we here return simply nothing. And we need still another exception. For example, if there is a multiple objects, that also I think it's not possible, but still we need this functionality to have here on our code. So and we call multiple objects returned. In this case, we are doing the same stuff here. We return a user and so on, but instead we are ordering right now with by order by ID, and I'll return only the first one. And yep, I think that's it. We can remove this. Oh, I removed too many lines here. I don't need only what is this? Okay, I don't need this, and I remove these, and because we want to return a user. That's it. I can save this, and I think I don't need to explain this. I tried to explain it while I wrote this word by word, and if it's not enough information, of course you can Google it. That's what I recommend always. Google is your friend. Next, we need to modify our default Django Authentication backend. So we head to our settings and we go to Django website, settings. We head somewhere down. Okay, this will be fine. And we import an additional line that will be called Authentication backends, and it will be equal to the backend we just created. It is in our users, then it's in backends, and then it is our email backend. This will override the default Django authentication to use our created one. And I think we are really close to the end. There is only one more step to do to make it work. If you're using a default Django authentication form, and this means that you are using these lines, you don't need to do this step. Otherwise, if you are doing everything the same as I do, we head back to our Django users views to here, and we replace where we used authentication form to use our user login form. But I already did this. Yeah, I already did this. I totally forgot about that. And I think we don't need this line. I remove this because we are not using it here. And I believe that's it. Now we save everything and we can go back to our website and let's check if it works. I heard to refresh. Okay, I'll try to log in with our test. Okay, it works, and if I try to access the login page, it doesn't work as we expected. So I press log out, and I gave an email for my test user, this one, and I put in the password. Okay, it's something not right. I go back, and I think maybe I need to refresh my page because we changed all this, right? It seems like fine. Okay. Let's run the server. Let's go back to our website. Go home, log in, and test. As you can see, it worked as expected. We simply had to do a full restart of our web server because we changed our settings. It doesn't work only to reboot. So that's fine, and everything is cool. And as you can see, our new functionality just works, and it's great. It's a great new feature for our website. So in this part, I show you how to create and use Python decorators along with a real-world example. And now I hope that you'll be able to add decorators to your other projects. Sometimes it's tough to remember that what username we use on one or another website. I found that this method is one of the easiest ways to achieve our goal quickly with this email backend. Also, we added an excellent feature for our users. From now on, they will be able to log in not only with a username, but also with an email. And that's amazing. And sometimes we want to protect our website from bots. So right now, if someone would write a bot to create 1,000 accounts, my server would receive too many requests. It will be really hard to handle for it. So for these reasons, we sometimes need some kind of protection. So in the next tutorial part, we'll check how to implement reCAPTCHA in our website as a security feature. So see you in the next part. So thank you again for watching. I hope this tutorial was really helpful and useful for you. I hope you'll use these decorators and email backend features, and I really appreciate that you would click this like button, share and subscribe my channel, and of course you won't forget to click on the bell button. Thank you again for watching, and see you in the next part. If you missed something, you can check my text version tutorial and the code that I publish on my GitHub. So see you in the next part. Bye.